Getting back in the swing of things a little bit here at the Coast2Coast Pinball Studios, and I wanted to, talk some general topics, some of the shows, some of the games. Thought there'd be no better person to come on and do that with me than Mr. Gene X Wong, so he will be joining us here, co-hosting tonight on episode 228 of Coast2Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast2Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast commentary, man out of quarters. Joining me tonight, Gene X Wong. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Glad to be back in dry, non-humid San Francisco.
I don't think of San Francisco as particularly dry, but I guess it's much drier than the Midwest and like the Northeast right now.
Yeah, it's all kind of relative, I guess, because we are on the coast and we get the air off the ocean, but it feels dry to me, and it's not sticky. So it's just like that humidity and stickiness out east that kind of gets to me. I think I just become soft since I've lived here for so long.
I know the feeling. I'm in San Diego, and anywhere I go that's more than 10 degrees warmer or colder than 72, I start having a fit. Have we not done this before? Have we not done like an official episode, you and me, on the Skype thing before?
I think we might have talked about some specific topics, but I don't know if it was for a whole show or we were just chatting. I can't recall.
I can't remember either. I was sure we had, but I don't know that that's happened. I know we've talked at shows over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who don't know Gene X Wong, what's your official title? The Godfather of all things pinball? Is that what it is?
No, that was something that the pinball podcast guys kind of were making fun of for a while. But I'm just some guy that likes to play pinball, and sometimes I take photos while I'm doing it. So that's all I am.
You're one of the is it co-founders, co-owners, co-founders of Orange Photography? Mm-hmm. And you're definitely hitting the pinball show tournament circuit this year. I'm looking at your past travel through the IFPA website, and you've been everywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to be the next Bob Matthews, except I'm not going to tuck my t-shirt into my shorts and wear gloves yet. But maybe on Halloween I'll dress up as him. But no, it's just something I decided. With my work, I get to travel a lot, like you, for different shoots, and sometimes I can kind of parlay that into a trip. And since I had some friends make the circuit final last year, I was like, man, that's such a cool event. It's like I would, if I could even get in, I would just get wiped out immediately. But it's still fun, and I think anybody who does tournaments, I think one of the fun things about them is just testing yourself with the pressure on and against good players. I like playing with better players anyways, because you learn a lot. And so that was kind of one of my personal, maybe like New Year's resolutions. The other one was to use the MagnaSave in World Cup soccer for real, in a real situation. I have not yet. I've only used it once at all, like not the kind of hit it after you drain out of frustration, but I did use it once by accident, and but that doesn't count. So I still have I've got a few months left to actually use it in a real situation. So,
well, all this travel is paying out. You're currently ranked 171st in the world. Is that your highest ranking so far?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm a little overrated, but it is what it is. I won the Pinagogo tournament, which was worth a ton of points, so that jumped me up a whole lot. So, but yeah, like I definitely don't feel like I'm quite that ranking, but the rankings are all over the place. There's Super League stuff. There's other reasons why people might be ranked higher or lower. I just want to be accurately ranked for what I am, and maybe not be overly restricted.
You say you're overranked. I watched you play. You and I played in our first group at Pinburg. There we were, together, first in Pinburg. And you really have gotten good in just the past year or two since I've really gotten to play with you very much. You're clearly putting the time in.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not as good about practicing necessarily, but I just like playing so much that maybe, this Pinburg taught me a lot, and, I'm guessing I've improved just by volume, just by playing a lot, because it's fun, and I like to play, and I like playing different machines, and so you learn a lot just by doing that, and I think the tournaments really help you, too, because I think if you do tournaments, you're kind of forced to think more and be more strategic with your play versus just, like, playing for fun and just, doing, just trying to stay alive or get high scores or whatnot. It's a whole different thing once you get into the tournaments.
It really is. We're going to dive into each one of those. I want to go through those in a minute, but let's hit some fast thoughts first.
Okay.
5 fast thoughts.
All right, this is 5 Fast Thoughts for episode 228 of Coast to Coast Pinball, coming to you not live on Tuesday, August 16th. And they all come from Gene X Wong's Twitter account, which, if you don't know, Gene famously has the amazing Twitter handle of @X. So very, very, very good of you to have such an amazing Twitter handle there. Okay, fast thought number 1, and we're going to work backwards here. Gene posted, only today did I realize all those crazy Oreo flavors were real. I thought all my bodybuilding friends were posting them as fantasies. Have you had the Swedish Fish Oreo cookie yet, Gene?
No, but that's the one that keeps coming up with my non-bodybuilding friends, also known as regular people and pinball folks, although there is a slight overlap. But the Swedish Fish one was what I was like, wait, is this a real thing? And then I was like, oh, it is. And other people were like, yeah, it's real. It's totally real. But I don't really cook, so I'm not in grocery stores a lot. I just go to the beer aisle or something and mostly eat out. So I'm just not really in the, cookies aisle or whatever it's called.
Have you had an Oreo recently at all?
No, I haven't had an Oreo in a while. Actually, I might have had it. One of the kids groups I mentor with, sometimes they have desserts, but they usually buy organic kind of stuff. So they have like the Newman's own, version of Oreos, which are called something else or something.
You're so Bay Area, Gene. You're so Bay Area. No, I'm just kidding. I actually had a birthday cake Oreo recently, a birthday cake flavored Oreo.
Oh, wow.
It just is very sweet. Speaking of your bodybuilding friends, do you know what happens when you Google your name?
I do not.
So when you Google your name, okay. I'm going to do it right now. I did it earlier. I get Gene X Wong. I get in the images section, I get about 10 photos of the buffest, most muscly ripped women I've ever seen in my life, and you.
Yep, that's what I see too. That's pretty funny.
It's pretty good. Well, it's your work. It's your life's work. All right, fast thought number 2. Gene X Wong posts on Twitter. So my last 3 meals in Buffalo were wings and poutine. So I'll be ready for a burrito when I land in San Francisco. How were the wings and how was the poutine?
They were awesome. So the first, had them a few times, obviously, and the last one we went to a place that Nick Lane, who organized the Buffalo one of the organizers of the Buffalo Pinball Open, had recommended. I forgot the name of the place right now, but it ended up being like a block from my Airbnb. But Zen and myself and Gabriel, it's called Gabriel's Gate because Zen's friend Gabriel was with us as well, and we went to that place and they had excellent poutine and wings there.
And then man, I can't do the poutine thing. I can't do it.
Really?
The gravy's gross. It's just not right.
Well, maybe you haven't had good poutine. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But,
I've had it in Canada. Like, isn't it? That's a Canadian thing.
It is Canadian,
right?
yeah. But people were saying that, like, Buffalo is almost like Canada because it's so close. And
that's true.
All that, so. But, yeah, it was really good. Maybe it was Americanized for the, for the Buffalo audience, but I liked it. And I had it at another place that I don't remember the name of the place, but they had all kinds of kind of like hybrid versions of poutine that were excellent as well.
Interesting. I will say I've been to Buffalo many, many times. I do prefer the Duff's Famous Wings over the Anchor Bar, which I think are two of the big...
Yep. I agree that the Anchors wasn't as good for myself either. So.
I thought so. It's kind of the Pat's Geno's thing of cheesesteaks, but Anchor Bar, Duff's. All right. Fast thought number 3. I'm not a classics pinball guy, but somehow I'm here for now. You had posted a mobile screenshot of you currently sitting 3rd ranked in the Classics 2 tournament at the Buffalo Pinball Open with one Jeff Becker and one idol of yourself, Bob Matthews, slightly ahead of you. How did this Classics 2 actually end up for you?
Oh, I didn't make it in. I bled out over the day. I just had I think that was right after my pretty good game of Paragon, and then it just jumped me up a lot because like a strong score on one of those classics machines could hold for a while because like that Paragon, like mini Paragons, just pretty mean, and you could have some really short games. Like I think when I went up to it, one of the times the previous score was like 37,000, and then I played a game and got like 37,000. So the classics, I'm not really as much of a classics guy, although I like them, but I was like, I'll try some of these, mostly because I was playing so poorly on the main side, and I was like, man, I need to just switch it up or something and take a break. So I went over and did some classics entries then.
I was watching some of the finals of the Pinburg A division, and I believe they were playing Paragon in that. I think that's what I was watching. Maybe I was watching something else. Anyway, I was watching some Paragon online recently, and it was so easy the way everyone was just being so gentle and letting balls like dead flip off the upper right flipper and then down, and I just get on the game and flail away and die.
Yeah, that game, if it was the one, I can't remember which match, but I watched it at Pinburg Live with Robert Gagno and I think Josh and those guys, and it was just like an incredible match. Those guys were all playing it so well. It was like, I'm sure if somebody just saw that, they're like, oh, I want to play this Paragon game. It looks fun. And, then you start playing it. It's just, yeah. Yeah. If you
I wonder
if
that's the game where the Not Like This was getting all the play. Because Not Like This became the catchphrase for Mr. Sharp after this year's Pinburg, I think.
It might be.
I need to get that isolated as an audio track I can just drop into future Wide World of Pinballs. Not like this. That's good stuff. All right. Let's see. Fast thought number 4. Love how the Olympics bring out positive national pride from people all over the world. Congrats on your first medal, Fiji. What was the first medal that Fiji actually won? What sport was it in?
It was in rugby.
They won in rugby?
Yeah, I think it was against England. I can't quite remember. I didn't see the match. I just saw the kind of the results of it, and it was great to see all these. The people were just like so excited. It's like, we get kind of spoiled in America. We're like, we feel like we should always win the overall medal count and all this stuff, and we're kind of, it's nice to see people from all over the world just celebrating. It's kind of the same reason I like the World Cup. It's like everybody seems to care about it, and it's just like there's some positive nationalistic pride, not like, things that are hateful or anything. It was just really cool seeing like the entire country going nuts because they finally got a medal. And it was cool.
Absolutely. It was kind of like Iceland in the European. Yeah. That was pretty awesome. To spin this into a pinball thing, did you play the Pinball Olympics games at Replay FX?
I did. They were so fun. I didn't play all of them, but I played a lot of them, some of them more than others. Like
what was the highlight for you?
Well, the Bram Stoker's Dracula with the kind of the insta tilt or whatever they want to call it on the 3 stand-ups, right up the middle was super fun, and I think it's a great way to learn how to be more patient with your flipping, and that's something I'm not so good about. But I also like the Simpsons Pinball Party with the kind of helmet-mounted tilt bob
with the tilt bob hanging in front of your eyes.
Yeah, I saw some guy who was there. And he had his kid do it, and he was just like, here, you do this one while I do this one. And I could tell the kid was kind of new to pinball, and he kept, like tilting before he could even plunge. And I was just like kind of sad because I'm like, I wonder if this kid's going to be like, I hate pinball, this is the worst. Because he really didn't understand what the tilt bob was, and so, he kind of was just constantly tilting, and he had a score of like 0 on his whole game.
Those are kind of next level opportunity type games there.
Yeah, but they're really awesome. The guys that did that, I met. I think it was. Oh man, I'm gonna forget his name. I think it was Joe. I met one of the guys that does it, and he's super awesome. And he does this, like, he's from Chicago area. I think maybe it's a couple of the guys, but they have like that Iron Man where you're laying down and playing it. It has no legs and it's just kind of floating. They have that one too at the Pinball Life event that's at Expo every year. It's kind of outside of Expo but sort of related. But those machines, I really like that when they do that. I mean, it's just so fun to have these weirdly set up games and
I love the work those guys do. It's really creative and definitely a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I think, do I have one more fast thought here? Yes, I got one more fast thought. Love getting into work super early, which not many people are actually ever writing on Twitter, I would imagine. But you say, even have time to finally play some pinball at the office. What pinball do you have at your office, sir?
Right now, I have Flash Gordon and America's Most Haunted, and I feel kind of guilty playing pinball when the rest of the employees are there because I play a lot longer than they do. So it might, if they don't know, they might think I just keep playing, starting the game over and over or something.
And you're the boss.
Yeah, and I'm on the boss, so I don't want to make it seem like, hey, this is a good thing to do. But luckily, I mean, the average ball times on America's Most Haunted, which I can track, are still 30 seconds, and they've been that forever. But the employees love America's Most Haunted. They hate Flash Gordon. They only play Flash Gordon when there's an issue with America's Most Haunted, and they can't play it because they're like, this is too hard. And
it's hard.
Yeah, and the ball doesn't last long enough. They do not like Flash Gordon, and they love America's Most Haunted. So it's kind of funny. But
I was going to say, your 30 seconds on America's Most Haunted's got to be higher than the Flash Gordon's average ball time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. And so, you could tell, 3 balls at 30 seconds each, that's a minute and a half. I mean, that's just the average. So some of the employees are better, and they just for them, it's a lot of it's just stress release. They just need to hit a ball around a lot and it feels good. And they know about nudging and stuff. So it's kind of fun. Like, I'll hear the danger every once in a while, and I'm like, kind of makes me proud that they're nudging.
So you kind of like probably want them to play on some level, not all day maybe, but you kind of like it when people go in and play the games.
I do, because they're exposing different people that might not get exposed to it, and since it's on free play, it's like they have fun playing it, and so I actually told them we were in our Slack channel, and I was like, does anybody want like lessons or something? Because I'd been doing some of these kind of tutorial kind of things for other people at the Selfie League to kind of promote new players getting into it, and so I haven't done it yet, but they were all excited. They're like, yeah, we want to learn how to play, so I'm gonna figure out when I'm gonna do that. So we just rearranged the studio, so I'll probably do it sometime soon.
That's what the godfather of pinball does. He teaches the world how to play pinball. Love it. Awesome. Well, there's 5 fast thoughts. Let's jump into some other topics. Speaking of Orange Photography, where you work and earn your living, you take fantastic pinball photos. You bring your cameras to the events. You take much better photos than all of us with our iPhones out, getting everybody's faces, etc. And then I see them, and it's great. And you always look for yourself, and I'm of course, just like everybody else, looking for the photos of me. And what I've noticed, though, and I've been guilty of this, I used your photo for probably a year as a Facebook profile photo, and I see other people do that, and I see other people post your photos to other websites. Is that a good or a bad thing?
Well, I usually post the pictures with the watermark on them. So
no, we'll just cut those out.
Yeah, some people do. That's fine if it's like a profile photo or something, because if they don't want the whole photo in there, it's totally fine. I don't mind it too much if people do that, because kind of the reason I started taking the photos was I was just like, oh, I'm really into this pinball thing. It's like, what can I do to give back to this scene or whatever? I remember seeing some poorly lit photos or something. I was just like, well, I could take a slightly better photo than that, so maybe I'll just bring my camera to things. And then later as I travel, I'm like, oh, if I do photography and do something with it work related, I can kind of say it's work-ish. But if I'm taking,
these are really for the IRS, is what this is.
Yeah, this is all like a cover.
Love it.
I did shoot some articles, like Kayla was handing out, Kayla Greet from Seattle, and forget what the
Skill Shot Pincast, sir.
Yes. But she had the Razor Cake article that used my photos, and then I had there was an article that a wife of my friend Andreas, I'm friends with her, Brittany, as well, and she wrote an article on Pinburg last year, and so I was shooting that for her publication. So sometimes there's a little bit of overlap where I'm officially shooting for something, but I don't mind if people use the photos. If they credit it, that's great. But people are going to take stuff, and I'm not like looking for it. It's not that big of a deal.
I think everyone should give you credit. That
would be nice. That'd be a nice thing in general. I mean, as a photographer, just separately, I would say that people should not be taking photos without crediting them. They should at least credit them if they are going to take them and
post them on a site or a blog or something. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget to do that stuff. It's easy to get excited about something you're working on and just Google something and grab it, but this is people's work, and we do need to go.
Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. So let's run down some of the past few events. You've kind of been man on the scene for a lot of this stuff, and I guess we'll go back a little ways. Let's go to the beginning of the summer.
Trip reports.
California Extreme. Talk to me about what you saw this year. That's kind of your hometown big show.
It is.
What was California Extreme like this year in 2016?
So, as you know, I love the tournaments and I love the shows too, but I end up, if there's a tournament going on, I end up mostly in the tournament area, although I do always, try to go out and just check out the rest of the show. This year at California Extreme, it was the first time they've done the limited, what's the word that's not Herb? But it was limited best game or whatever.
Yes.
So this was the first year they did that. So it was kind of interesting because we were all like, okay, how's this going to play out? And it was
Keith Owen's going to win. Actually, that's how it's going to play out.
Yeah, that's just how things in general work out. If he's there, he's going to win. But it was cool because it was $40 and you got 20 entries, and I can't recall how many. I think it was 7 games counted. I think it was 7 because I remember for some reason thinking the number 3 was kind of like, let's say you picked 7 games that you knew you wanted to play, it would be like 3 games each on it or something, or that's kind of was sitting somewhere in my mind. But yeah, it was really interesting because it made you just think differently about how you're even going to play your first game, because in a regular kind of Herb format or best game, you would just I always would just start playing, like I'm just going to play this game that I like or whatever, and just feel it out and see what happens. But when you got a limited number of of entries to play through, you really have to be a little bit strategic. And there were some people that were just like, I'm going to play everything on Friday night because it's not so busy. Some people played as much as possible then, but saved a certain number of entries in case they needed to shore up another game. There's a lot of different ideas, and there was even things where people were playing games that they thought might go down, and then their scores would be locked in. And
I've wondered about that as I've seen games go down and wished I had played them.
Yeah, and that kind of benefited me on one of the, I forget which game it was, but it was a EM that went down, but was in the rule was kind of like if it's in for more than 50% of the qualifying time, it stays in, and if it's not, then they'll take it out. So I think Grand Prix got pulled out because it got broken and it wasn't in for more than 50%. And that affected a lot of people's scores.
Gotcha.
And everybody who played on it got their entries back, but still, so the format was really fun. But the thing that it didn't do that we thought it would do was, it was kind of like, oh, if that's the case, then we won't be always in the tournament area, but we'll just be like playing the other games. But the tournament was also in a separate room that was a little bit further from the main area. But even if it was closer, I think a lot of us would have just kind of mostly stayed there. Although if it was close enough, we could have just kind of walked out to play a couple games and came back where it took about 5 minutes to walk over to the other side of the hotel. And so a lot of times you'd just be lazy because you know how it is standing on your feet at these tournaments and things. You don't want to walk extra if you don't need to.
Pretty busy show this year?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, it's a great show. There's a lot of, the local community brings out lots of great games. We have a lot of collectors that bring like amazing machines that you don't see so often. Like Kingpin is one that I really like. I feel like it's underrated compared to Big Bang Bar. It seems Big Bang Bar gets all this love, but I like Kingpin better personally. But I always play that as much as I can when it's there. It's also at Pinagogo, but
I've never gotten to play Kingpin. What would you in the world? What would be the closest thing you could relate Kingpin to? Maybe layout-wise.
Layout-wise, I don't know. It's got a couple ramps and spinners up the middle. I don't know. It didn't really. That's another reason maybe I like it because it's not that similar. I mean, it's not really super unique or anything, but it's pretty violent on the DMD. It's kind of like when you play it, you're like, wow, I forgot how violent this is. But it's kind of awesome because it's just gangster stuff. It's not bad violence. I don't know what good violence versus bad violence is, but it's in pinball, but it's just fun to shoot. I don't really understand all the rules too much, but it's just kind of a fun game. It shoots pretty well, and it seems pretty easy to kind of understand. Like I haven't ever had the rules actually explained to me, but a lot of us just kind of play it, and it's pretty fun just shooting. Feels good. So
nice, good deal. All right. Next, let's hit Replay FX Pinburg. This was year 2 for Replay FX and year 2 for Pinburg at Replay FX. We saw a greatly expanded show floor this year with Pinburg being kind of pushed over to an entire side of its own, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
What was your overall experience this year?
Oh, I agree, man. That was so nice. I mean, like you were there both years, and when it first was moving to the convention center, I was kind of sad because I liked it at the old Papa facility because the Papa facility is just awesome. But it was great last year, and everybody was kind of complaining about their feet hurting or whatever, which was I think more just people weren't ready for it or whatever. But this year there was tons of chairs everywhere. There was so much space. It was fantastic. It's always run so well. The machines play so well. I mean, it was just it was awesome. Like I feel like everything that people had to say was positive about how the event was organized, how it ran, how the machines played. I mean, there's always some room for improvement in anything, and I think that, obviously there's some threads that are talking about what can be improved, and I agree there's lots of little things that can happen. But what I like is those guys are going to listen. They're going to figure out what it is that they can and can't do or what makes sense, because some of the things, they're limited by how much money they have to spend. I know that convention center, a lot of the stuff, like the labor is union, so it gets expensive, and, it's a little bit pricey for some people as well just to attend. But I loved it, man. It was so much fun. I didn't play well at all, but I had a great time,
One thing you touched on is those guys, Mark, Doug, John, AJ, I mean, everybody. I hate to even name a few because I won't name everybody. Elizabeth, everybody. So they listen, right? And I think that when you look at a show like Replay FX, it's going to get better because they listen. Mm-hmm. Texas gets better, I think, because that group listens and they actively go to other shows and they look. And then I won't name names here, but there are other shows in major pinball cities that I think have had major ups and downs because they seem to not listen very well, or they listen and they don't hear what is really being said. They hear what they want to hear. And I think that's just so key is it's not that big of a community, and the community will give you great feedback.
Yeah. And I think that's really what's made Pinburg grow. It's like they totally addressed the main things that people complained about from last year, and even though part of it wasn't that big of a deal, but and I think even already some of the stuff that got mentioned in some of the threads about slight complaints or whatever were not even actual. Like some people are like, oh, did you know that there were water fountains here if you wanted to get this and that, and so some of it's just more education and and communication and things like that, but I'm confident that they'll be improving it. Like a lot of people were talking about the stage, and I didn't actually play on the stage, but I've been on stages, and I could see how it was a little bit bouncy or whatever when people would walk around, and I know that they're already looking into that, some options for that. So because I like the stage personally, but I didn't play on it, so I don't really know what it was like. But I did hear different things from some of the players. But if they can get that more solid or heavy or whatever, so that when people are walking around the machines don't move, I think that'd be a good solution. Because it's kind of cool to be on a stage and see that, even for like the casual people are like, wow, it looks like impressive, especially if you got to play on it in a random round just because those are your bank.
I did. I played actually my final bank was on the stage, and you could feel it for sure. And we actually. I wish I don't know if I should tell this. I don't know who he is, so I feel bad talking about him because I actually don't know who he is. But there's a player who I've actually played with before, probably at previous year's Pinburg, and he's a pretty good player. I think he was playing in A or B while I was in my C division bank, and he was playing in the bank next to us, and he did something wrong or drained early or didn't score the score he needed, and he had sort of like a little mini meltdown. And I actually mean like clenched fists, stamping on the ground, Ooh. Talking to himself, saying, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that? That was so stupid." And I actually kind of felt bad for the guy because he clearly is, struggling with self-control and really upset. And it wasn't like a big showy outburst to like show off how, I hate people that say, if I could just play my normal game one time, I'd be great. It's like, well, then that's not your normal game, dude.
Yeah.
But this was really a guy who I think clearly probably has some sort of, I don't know, social disabilities maybe, who's having a real fit, and he was stomping on the stage while we were playing.
Oh, man.
And like, I could feel it through the game. I had to step away from my game, and it was bad. And so that's fine in one random round, but then you take that to the A division finals, and and at least in the finals, everyone's kind of getting off the stage while
that was kind of cool. It's like the wrestling match walk up every time they went.
I loved it. I've said it on the show. I love the show aspect of the pinball thing. I think that's one of the ways you're going to draw people to want to play competitively. Is you see that and you go, oh, I want to do that someday.
Yeah, I want to take that long walk up.
I want to take that long walk. It's awesome. Yeah. So I hope they can figure the stage out so that the players don't feel it's handicapping them at all. And I really don't think it was that bad. I didn't see any real horrible stories of like, oh, I tilted out and it screwed me up.
Yeah. If you got like Todd McCulloch in your group, he might shake the machine a little more than maybe like Escher or someone. But
yeah, well, and the other problem is the stream had issues. Obviously, I don't know if you saw any of the stream, but the cameras moved with the stage.
Okay.
And so the cameras were shaking around a lot.
So that's a good example, I guess, of that the stage was shaking. So yeah,
the stage was definitely shaking.
Yeah.
So, but I did like the stage, and I just thought the whole environment was really great. I thought that Doug and Bowen and the whole crew really ran it. Just, I don't want to say flawless, but I'll say nearly flawless tournament. And when you start considering nearly 700 people, I just can't even imagine.
I know,
having it
it's
go
amazing.
Off that smooth.
Yeah. Total kudos to those guys. They did those folks. They did like an amazing job with the whole thing, and I think the profile of that event is just going to keep growing. Especially the fact that I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was like 684 people came or something. So it's like same with last year. I think it's like if you show up and you just go, you're probably going to get in. And I heard that they might be expanding it to a bigger number next year, even. So
well, I already thought that because at one point they had a really long wait list and I heard one person say, well, okay, but all those people didn't show up. And I'm like, yeah, but it's expensive to go to Pittsburgh for 4 days. That's not a cheap trip.
No, yeah.
It's not a cheap city to fly into in the summer because it's not like going to New York where there's a million flights. It's Pittsburgh. So there's only so many flights. There's only so many hotels. You're dropping $1,000 by the time you get there, stay there, get in the tournament, get in the building, do the whole thing, eat your food. But I think if it went to 1,000 people, they'd probably get 1,000 people next year.
Yeah, totally. I could totally see it, which would be awesome.
I don't know how you do that for numbers and settings and all that, but whatever. I think it's fantastic. I'm just already worried about being able to get there. And I didn't even know if I was going this year till the week before, for sure. But, 684 people participating in Pinburg. It's just fantastic. Did you get to walk around and do any other stuff? Did you play? We talked about Pinball Olympics. Did you just play any of the free games, or were you just mostly concentrated?
Yeah, I played a lot of them. I did that intergalactic tournament, but it was like lots of lines, and I was like, man, I don't want to wait in any lines. So I played kind of the minimum amount of entries on that, and then went to just play with my friends on random games. And I actually went into the bouncy house too, which was really fun.
Oh man, I would have liked that.
Yeah, the bouncy house is, I think, because I don't know how many people are doing other things. Like there was a bouncy house and a bouncy house obstacle course thing. They tried to pair me up with a little kid, but my friend, because she was in line kind of incorrectly, because it's like two people running through the obstacle course at the same time. They tried to put me against the little girl, but I was like, no, I want to go with my friend. But that was fun, and it was funny because on the climbing wall, it seemed like every day there was at least like one stormtrooper on the climbing wall, which is always a photo that I never got. But yeah, like I didn't do much of the video games, mostly just the pinballs. I just like playing a lot of weird games. And
did you play Title Fight?
No, I have played that before, but I did not play it there. But I did. What was? Is it Sharpshooter? Is I guess the Roger Sharp's game I played, and I hadn't really played that before. And then I ran into him like right after I got done playing it. And I was like, oh, that game's really fun. Like it's got the like I guess a lot of his games have those like exposed pop bumpers, but that game was fun.
Let's put a pop bumper right by the flippers.
Yeah, which usually is a horrible thing, but it was actually pretty fun. That one wasn't set up super hard, and I guess that was sort of nice. Some of those other games weren't as mean as some of the the tournament games, so it made you feel kind of better about yourself if you were playing poorly.
I definitely had moments of playing poorly. Where'd you qualify in Pinburg? B?
B, but only because I was restricted.
Oh.
So I was towards the bottom. It was terrible. I just kind of kept playing worse. Like my graph, I don't want to show anybody the graph, but it was just like when we played in the first round, that was like one of my better rounds. It went like there and kind of stayed up, then went up a little, and then it just started going down.
Hold on. You don't want to show anybody your graph. Let me see if I can find your graph. I want to see Gene's graph.
It's a terrible graph.
Is it a terrible graph? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You did take a ladder down on your graph, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Yeah.
You and I started together, and you got 7 points in the first session, and I had 2. I started with a 2, which was really bad, and I actually did better after that. And,
well, that's good.
Yeah, but you didn't have any zeros. You only had 1, 2.
Yeah.
You're playing really good players too. I'm looking at some of the players you played. You're running in some good folks.
Yeah, I did also a negative thing for me, but good for other people, was I had 2 rounds where somebody got a 12. So I was like, God damn it. But one of them was my good friend. It was funny because people were like, oh, did you sandbag to give him with a 12? I was like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. I was actually, I thought I was going to prevent, I didn't even realize he was going to get a 12. I just didn't want him to, I just wanted to, play well. And it was some EM, and I was playing pretty well on it, but then he just had a really good ball 3 or 5 and passed me. So I was like, man, damn it. But
you just reminded me that I played in the first group of day 2 with one of the only. There was only 3 of us that I know of from San Diego in Pinburg. It was myself, a gentleman named Mark Brown, and then this guy you may have heard of named Keith Elwin, who did fairly well. Mark, actually, I took 1 point from Mark on one game in our set and kept him from getting a 12. He got an 11. Yeah. I actually don't remember what the games were, but I remember. Oh, it was Metallica. I got the 3 on Metallica.
So. You own that, right?
Yeah, and I think I got the 3 on Metallica with less than 5 million points. So crushed it.
Yeah, well, if you beat him with that score, then he didn't deserve it, right?
Exactly. We all were pretty bad. That's good stuff. So Pinburg's fantastic. Can't wait to do it again. What else? Oh, and I totally agree with you on the intergalactic. It's not a constellation. Constellation, get it? See, constellation. It's not a consolation tournament. It's a second tournament. It's a separate event, which actually I think is going to be worth a lot of points. Yeah.
I think it'll be worth a ton because a lot of people played in it, and I don't really know how many meaningful games and all that were in it, but I think it's going to be a big chunk of points. So
I'm looking. I don't think it's posted yet, has it?
I don't think it has because
Pinbird has, but
which is impressive.
Yeah, that
the Whoppers are crazy on it, man. Like
you got almost 7 points for 332nd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's like it's crazy because I was like I saw it show up in my the scores that count or the tournaments that count for your actual rating, and I was like, man, I can't believe there's not very many tournaments where you can be 300 something and and have that count. So.
If anybody's listening to this show and is going to send me hate mail about talking about tournaments on Coast to Coast and not WWOP, save it. I don't want to hear it from you out there. All right, let's touch on the Buffalo Summer Pinball Open, right? I believe they have two, so this is the summer version. This is the first time Papa Circuit Tour event. Set the scene for us. Where was this held, and what was the scene like?
So it's set at Pocketeer Billiards, which is in kind of a suburb of Buffalo. It's like some Native American named suburb, which I don't recall. But
I think it's actually called the world-renowned Pocketeer Billiards, Gene.
I forgot about that part. But the place is really cool. It's it's a billiards hall, but it also has pinball, and I can't remember exactly how. I didn't count the machines because they had maybe like 40 or something because they had they had the modern games and then the classic games, and they rotated the classics out from each day. So they did kind of like at Papa where there's a Classics 1 and a Classics 2. So on Friday there was one Classics tournament. They rotated out some of the machines and had a Classics 2 tournament the next day, and then the open kind of main tournament was open the whole time. And they did a really good job with it. The machines were pretty well maintained. There was obviously any pinball tournament has issues. The techs there were great. They were pretty good at doing things to get the machines back up and running. For A finals, Big Buck Hunter went down to nobody's chagrin, it seemed. But they also took out two other games and brought in Space Shuttle, which was actually in the Classics Bank to replace, and I forget what the other game. It was some of the games I didn't really play that much. Oh, No Good Gophers was having some issues, so they took that out as well. But the tournament was run really well. It's a great location because there's a lot of space. They had food trucks come, so there was food options. I think they actually served some food at Pocketeer. It was really cool. A local brewery had brewed a pinball-specific beer, or not really. It didn't taste like pinball, but it was inspired by pinball, I guess.
I would really not want to drink anything that tasted like pinball.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what a pinball tastes like. I don't really have an interest in that. But it was really great. I mean, it was a nice location because it's kind of like it was easy to get to, and like the crew did a great job. I think the streams went well. I didn't get to watch them, but I kind of would sit in on the stream behind the guys to listen to the commentary live because sometimes I don't feel like watching a stream after of an event that I was at because it's like I already saw this. I know what's going to happen, but I do like to hear the commentary. So sometimes I'll sit behind the guys and listen in to what they're saying about certain games to learn new things. Because I'm not that great on game knowledge. If somebody was telling me, they're like, I can't believe you don't know this, about so many games. And so I try to improve that incrementally because I'm just like not good about studying games and reading rule sets. I just want to play them, and then I'll learn by playing, and that seems to be the best way to learn. So, I actually learned a lot about Mustang, and I had saved Pinball with Pros to watch on the flight in to Buffalo, and I was too tired, so I didn't get to watch it, and then I forgot about it. And then, I played. It was the last match in finals that I played, and I lost. But actually, Steve from Vermont, he was giving me some great tips on it. But he's like, the best tutorial on there is Pinball with the Pros. I'm like, man, I totally had that queued up to watch to learn about the game, and I didn't. But now I know how to play it a lot better.
Well, that's awful kind of Steve to say, even after I beat him so badly at Title Fight at Replay FX. But I won't get back into that, Steve. No, I'm just kidding. Steve Bowden's a monster on that in that Pinball with the Pros video we did, and he does give some really great tips and some good insight into how to play that one. So, the moral of the story is don't watch my videos. Go out 21st. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. You know what? It sounds like Kevin and Nick put on a great a great event. They were definitely, I think, under the microscope a little bit as far as one of the Papa Tour events. It was kind of like, really? Buffalo?
Yeah.
Sounds like they knocked it out of the park, though.
When the voting thing happened, people were kind of like, wait a second. But yeah, they did a great job, and it was well run. Everything was good. And it was even like the entries were pretty cheap. It was on Coin Drop, which I don't really have a problem with. I know some people are like, that's kind of weird, but I didn't mind. So, the entries were cheap. So even with the Coin Drop, sometimes you'd be like, okay, I'm on this queue, but maybe I'll play that game because it's cheaper and it's open. Or that guy just got a replay, so I'll play. So if I get in line after him, I can get a free game. It's kind of funny that's why I played WrestleMania a few extra times, because I was like, okay, Alberto keeps getting replays on it because he got people were getting huge scores on it. I didn't really know the game very well. I still don't know it very well, but learned a little bit about that game. And
Tag team all day.
Yeah, pretty much. They updated the code for finals, and a lot of the guys were kind of like watching, because we played it in our very first group, and I saw all those guys like totally watching, which was fantastic since I had a horrible game. But they were like trying to figure out what the real differences are and which character, different wrestlers have different now. They have powers like houses do in Game of Thrones, so they were kind of like trying to analyze which ones seemed to be best, because I think a lot of them maybe hadn't had as much time on.
Is there a WrestleMania on location in San Francisco?
There is not.
I could sense that. That doesn't seem like a real Bay Area type title for some reason.
Yeah, it's not hippie enough.
Something. Well, I see him in the Northeast, but I just can't. Yeah. I don't know. All right. Good. So kudos to those guys. Check out Bro Do You Even Pinball on Twitch. That's Nick and Kevin. Let's talk about some pinball machines, shall we?
Sure.
All right. I would love to hear Gene's take on Ghostbusters as it stands.
So I really like Ghostbusters. When it came out, everybody was complaining about the flipper gap and all these other things.
Is there something wrong with the flipper gap?
Well, it's just a Trudeau flipper gap.
I'm just kidding.
But I don't have a problem with it, actually. I mean, the game is really hard. There's definitely some things that are frustrating about it. Like it's like if you do not get a mode started on the skill shot, it's kind of annoying. But the new Slimer mech seems to work way better, because a lot of the ones that first came out, if people didn't adjust their Slimer, it either would register way too many hits, or it would be, it wouldn't register hits at all.
Hits, yeah.
And if you couldn't register hits, then that game is just terrible. And so a lot of times, there might be one on location where it wasn't tweaked and you couldn't start a mode. And not starting modes in that game is not very fun, because you can go for multi-ball, but the modes are pretty valuable, and it's just but overall, the game is really great. I think the sound and the music and everything is pretty fun. The modes, they're not super interestingly unique, but they're fun to play. There's a lot of different ways that there's, you can get things going crazy on that game if you get things lined up right with if you get both the multipliers stacked together and get 6x with loop and supers, and then go into PK Frenzy. It's just I had the best game I ever had was 11 billion, and it was accidental, because it was just things were just going crazy. And luckily I was playing a multiplayer game, and people were like, that PK Frenzy was 1.5 billion, wow, on that right ramp shot. And so if you get things going right, it's really fun. The only problem is with that game, I don't feel like I want to pick it at League or something, because you can have terrible games on it. It's not, I can't have any sort of consistency on it. I mean, maybe 30-something million if you can get one mode started is easy, but beyond that, it's a little hit or miss for me.
Yeah, playing it the other day, a few things had jumped out at me, because I hadn't played it in well over 2 months. One, the geometry on that game is very interesting. There's lots of shots that don't feel like shots on recent games. Mm-hmm. And that's Trudeau, I think, at his finest, doing something new with the layout. And I think there's something to just the distance of everything with the double in lanes. Everything's just a little bit different there, which I think is great. There's a lot going on, and I think that's going to be a really good game for people to own at home to improve their pinball. I think people will get better at playing if they own that game.
Yeah, because that's the thing, when people were complaining about how hard it was at the beginning, it's well, it's a brand new machine, and those machines, when they come out, are fast because, they're totally clean and everything, and, everything's so snappy on them. And now that, people are kind of used to it, I think it's not, I think, they wouldn't have that same reactions if they had the time on it that everybody's had now. But I feel like it's one of those games that will help you be more disciplined and learn skills. You definitely, at least a lot of the ones I've played, even when you have the flippers up, it's kind of hard to trap. It's not like some of those old Gottliebs where the flippers are like super steep and you can trap like anything. So you have to do a little bit of juggling or do things to get the ball to slow down if you want to.
That's another Trudeau thing for me. Like Mustangs like that for me. I can never get the ball under control. I end up just shooting.
I know. I saw that in the Pinball with the Pawns.
Oh, how dare you! Now you watched it.
Yes.
Okay, so do you see a lot of these on location?
Ghostbusters, yeah, there's a lot here, man. There's like at least 4 or 5 in the Bay Area, and yeah, they're and I know they earn well because the operators I've talked to are like, yeah, this thing it's an earner because I think it's hard and it's fun and the theme is like popular, so people are just gonna like play it because it's like, oh yeah, like I saw a guy he was on what appeared to be a date and he was telling his what appeared to be his date. He told her, he's like, oh, this is a old machine from Ghostbusters. Remember that movie? And I was just kind of like, this guy, he is not impressed.
Oh man, no,
but I think
sad.
Yeah, it's great to see him out there, and yeah, I think it's going to be.
It's interesting that a 30-year-old theme has kind of been the one that's the most universally accepted of anything recently.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
I know.
Well, I mean, maybe we all grew up with it, so something like it. Okay, let's talk about. You warmed my heart earlier tonight. You texted me a photo of high score of the night or second high score of the night on The Hobbit at a local game, and you put in Coast to Coast Pinball on the screen. That's very nice for you to do that.
Yeah. So I had a shoot in the East Bay, and there's a Hobbit over at Radio Bar in Oakland, which is kind of on my way home because I have to take a BART train. I ride my bike, but I can't, get over the bay with my bike. So I was like, I'm going to pop into Radio Bar and play The Hobbit because I know, TJ runs that machine. It's always in great shape. So I was like, I'm going to try this a couple different ways. And I haven't had a whole ton of time. I mean, I've probably played a lot of games on Hobbits, but I know the code keeps evolving, and it's kind of hard to, when you're playing by yourself, sometimes it's a little hard to be able to know what to do with reading the large amount of real estate there is on the different screens. So the first game I just kind of played just shooting away and having fun, and did decent. The next one I decided to exclusively play the modes as they're supposed to be played. And I realized there's lots of points in the modes if you do what they're, if you can do what they say to do and you actually pay attention to what they're telling you to do. And then I got to replay and then I played again and just kind of played kind of a mixture. I was like, I'll try to play by playing the modes and also just kind of play for multi-ball. So, but I'm still kind of feeling it out. I don't really know what I think of the game. It's kind of it's not as intuitive as Ghostbusters and knowing what to do kind of. So I'm kind of having a little trouble feeling really good about playing it. So,
do you have an opinion on it versus or can you remember what you thought about Wizard of Oz sort of early on? Which one you think you prefer?
I kind of feel. I don't know if I prefer either one better at this point. I think I prefer Wizard of Oz a little more just because I know it a little bit better. But I like the theme of Hobbit a little bit better personally. But I just haven't really. I mean, it's so wide open because of those 4 pop-up, beasts that pop up, and so the other shots are kind of like not as fun necessarily, but I'm trying to give it time, let the code evolve, and also let my friends figure it out better, so we can kind of if I have more of an idea of what I'm trying to do versus only light multi-ball and because the modes I don't really, because there's so many of them. I don't really know this is the really fun mode to try to get to, or is there a mini wizard mode? There's the whole tree of the modes and how to get to everything, but I'm a little lazy about reading all that, so I'm going to give it some more time. But I'm not really loving it yet. Out of the box, I kind of like Ghostbusters a lot more, but I'll give it some time and see as the code evolves. And
what do you think? This is just a guess. I don't know if you have any inside information, and you wouldn't tell me if you did, but. What are you kind of expecting out of the Pat Lawler Jersey Jack number 3 game?
Well, I mean, I love his games, and I'm guessing it's going to be maybe some sort of disaster related or something fun. I think it'll be cool. I'm really excited about it because Keith Johnson and him together, I think that's going to be pretty amazing. And it's a narrow body, right? That's confirmed. Is that what we do know? Or
I am sadly a little out of the loop on the info on that. So if that's been confirmed, then I don't know.
So the thing I was thinking about that is because how obviously the first 2 games are wide bodies, and there's a lot of stuff packed into them. Like you get a lot of things and toys and stuff. And so if they do a narrow body, that means maybe they can do even more stuff. Because like with Twilight Zone, it's kind of crazy how much there's going on. And if Pat has been given kind of not necessarily full carte blanche, but a lot of room for him to design the game he wants to design, I think it could be pretty awesome. And I kind of feel like I already would like that one more than maybe Hobbit just out of the box, just because of who Pat Lawler is and what he's done in the past. And and I'm not against new talent. I really want to see more fresh blood in pinball, because obviously these guys that have been around a long time and they know what they're doing. But there's also they do some of the things similarly. Like there's a lot of times like with Pat, he often has like the upper flipper, which is fun, and I love that. But there's a lot of the designers have kind of characteristics to what they're kind of known for, and
absolutely.
Such, so.
Absolutely. That's interesting. Yeah, I think it's going to be a big deal to see a design from Pat Lawler in 2016, hopefully. I think we're getting close. I mean, everyone's been speculating Expo. I'm not super up to date on all my news and notes on that project, but definitely very exciting.
Yeah.
Your next game that you're going to own is almost here, correct?
It is. It is in transit. I have a tracking number even.
For the Big Lebowski Pinball.
Yeah. Super, super excited.
You were early on this, right?
Yeah, I was number 2 originally, but I traded. So, like, it ended up being this thing where a couple other people were like basically somebody wanted number 2. Like, to me, number 2 doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of like, oh, you didn't win, you got second. So, I mean, I didn't really care about that, but I wasn't trying to win or anything. I just ordered it when I was like, man, this is like a great theme. I'm going to do this. And so I ended up, we did a 3-way trade. So I got number 9 because number 3 was also interested, and I didn't want number 3. I was like, well, 2 and 3 is like the same difference. So I was like, but I like the number 9. That's my favorite number. So then, 3 found number 9, and then we worked out a 3-way trade, so we kind of switched numbers. But yeah, so I've been in on it since right when it was announced, and so it's on its way here, and I'm really excited to open it up, and my employees are excited too. They're like, oh, that's going to be so sweet.
So you're going to have it at work?
Yeah, and I want to leave it on adult mode, but we probably can't in case some employees are like playing it when a client comes in and it's saying the things that they say. Yeah. Which is kind of awesome.
It is. Well, that'll be good after hours fun. Flip it to adult mode.
Oh, yeah.
And run with it.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's an interesting project because there was so much hype and so many ups and downs and a lot of drama with that one. And now we're finally getting to the point where games are shipping, and I almost feel bad for Dutch Pinball in a little ways because I don't think they're getting the big hype of the game rolling out like I think they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, I guess once there's more people with it and stuff, but yeah, I mean, that is kind of how it's going to be since it's like going to be trickling out, and everybody who's getting it is already kind of locked in, and it's going to take a long time for them to fill out those orders before any kind of new people can get in on it. So,
yeah, all right. Let's see. I think you had texted. We were texting ideas back and forth earlier, and I said, "Well, what else do you want to talk about, Gene? What do we want to talk about?" And you're like, "Hey, let's talk about sexism in pinball." And I'm like, "Yeah, hey, what else you got?" And you're like, "Well, I think that's an important thing." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. What else should we talk about?" So we've had such a good show. Let's blow it all up right now and make everyone dislike us in 30 seconds flat.
Forum static.
Okay. Well, I mean, really, the main thing about that is, like, personally, like, I'm a straight guy. I like being around women, and this is probably the worst way to introduce this. But
yeah, that's a good start there. Here we go. All right.
But like, in pinball, you're around a lot of dudes, and that's not as fun.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, and so I feel like it should represent the world better, and the world is like, it's like, what is it, 51% women, or I don't know what the actual stats are.
It's at least half. Absolutely. Yeah. I believe it is tilted more towards females.
Yeah, and so I just like to see, I'd see it be more inclusive to women, and there's been some stuff coming up about, things that have happened, and a lot of it kind of comes down to the fact that sometimes people don't realize, they think like, oh, they're just making women are making a big deal out of something that's not really, people, some guy was trying to be nice or whatever and saying this comment, but what really happens is I think that people don't realize that if a woman says something's making them, something makes them feel kind of uncomfortable, they need to just respect that and take their word for it and just be like, okay, then I will try to change my behavior and not do that or whatever. And like, that's the hard thing because a lot of times this is stuff that you don't think would be like, it's like the thing where if someone says, hey, you should like smile to a woman, and it's like really offensive to say that because you wouldn't really say that to a guy. You wouldn't come up to some guy and be like, yo, dude, smile. Like it's probably, they'd probably be like, what the hell? And so a lot of that kind of stuff, one of the things that kind of was talked about in the thread is that, guys, when they notice this, should also speak up, because it's kind of hard for the women to speak up. And if they speak up, then sometimes the guy's just like, oh, you're just overreacting or something. I was just trying to be nice. And, and so they don't really take it seriously from the woman that it's something that makes them uncomfortable. So I think that's one of the things that kind of came out of some of these threads is like, listen to what women have to say, and guys that understand this and kind of see it for what it is should also speak up on behalf, of like, not just for the women necessarily, but just speaking up so that the guys will listen also and not just think that like, oh, she's just being oversensitive or something.
No, I agree. And, Elizabeth Cromwell's post on this was pretty fantastic and pretty, if nothing else, sort of can refocus your attention, because I've talked about this on the show before. It's a weird subject for me because I've kind of grown up in, I think, a fairly progressive generation, if nothing else, compared to the ones before me. And I had parents who were, very, very much like, did not put up with any sort of racism, sexism, hatred. That just didn't fly in my household. So I've always sort of just rolled with everybody's equal until they prove that they're not a good person type of thing. Mm-hmm. So reading some of the examples of like, I think a lot of people think that sexism is always this big overt, like, oh, you're just a woman, go to the kitchen. And it's just, that's not the case. Right. That's not what's going on. And reading this list of ideas, and I like how she put it, is, would you do these things to Bo and Karen's? Would you walk up to Bo? And honestly, I have seen some of these actions, not just in pinball, but in, my world of musical instruments. And it made me almost embarrassed to read some of these things, because I can then imagine those things happening. And it's things like, walking up and hugging someone that you only know from Facebook, that you've never actually really met in person. It gives me like almost like the embarrassed chills down my spine of like, oh, I know people who would do that. And it's awkward. And there's this count. I think there's sometimes a mix of, this is offensive to me, and the person doing it had no intention of being offensive. They just don't like know any better.
Exactly. And I think that's where it gets difficult, because people just need to learn that sometimes there's things that make people uncomfortable, and they need to, that needs to be kind of explained, because they don't necessarily know that, because that's maybe not why they're doing it. I mean, there's also obvious things that are maybe
sexist. And there is some very obvious stuff, but a lot of this stuff too is just, there's been some weird things taught to previous generations, and some of this is the clashing of like, I think a more balanced-minded group of people who are probably, and this huge stereotypes in certain age brackets and in certain geographic regions and socioeconomic regions, versus people coming from the other ones where it's just they haven't ever interacted a lot. And now they're interacting, and it happens to be over pinball, and you have some things that to this person doing it, it's just, this is what my life is. This is what we do at home. This is how I act. Right. And to the person being it done to, it's completely not okay.
Yep.
And I think you're right, where people do have to speak up at some point, or it'll never change. And if people are bothered by it and going to the point of, writing on the internet what's bothering them, I don't know people in general. Most people don't go out of their way to write, 7 paragraphs just for the attention, or just to like try and prove some weird point. It's generally an issue, I think, if that's happening.
Yeah, and I think that's what's good. Like, we were talking earlier about how the Papa Guys listen and makes their show better. And this is kind of the same example of like, people just listen to what people are saying that this is real. And like, this isn't just in pinball. This is like everywhere it happens. But like within pinball, because we've already got this super skewed, proportion of men to women anyways, that like, if we listen to what these women are saying about, things that are sexist and make them uncomfortable, then we need to listen to them, because if we address these things and make it better, then more women will feel welcome. They'll be participating more. And then, if it was like I don't necessarily see it getting to 50-50 necessarily. I'd love to, but even if it's like 35-40% women in the next couple of years, that would be amazing. And then a lot of these things might go away as well, just because there are more women involved. Like I remember hearing somebody complaining-ish about like that they lost to a woman, and I'm like, and I
did
told
you actually hear that? Because I read that. I couldn't believe that.
I heard it from
unbelievable.
a person that I think heard it herself, it was her. And I was telling her, I was like, I want to say that more, because that means I'm playing with more women. It's like,
totally
great, because I'm going to lose. I lose to women all the time. We have a lot of great players around here. I'm like, it's like not a big deal. It's like the same as losing to a guy. I don't care. I mean, I don't like losing. I want to win, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that blows my mind. Somebody would be so sort of in the dark about how that comes off socially, let alone how freaking rude it is.
Yeah,
they would walk around in a public setting and say that. That kind of blows my mind. I heard there was over 100 women in the Pinburg tournament. Is that true?
Yeah, that's awesome, because I've definitely noticed an uptick. Like, it's funny because I was like, man. Like, I actually had one of my friends had a group, and he was the only guy. I was like, that's awesome. You're like a minority in your group, and like we're mostly, I think I might have, I didn't ever have any, I had, I think, one woman in a group at the most, but, it'd be cool to have more, just like, I'd rather the proportion be much more balanced. So, but I think, we're making improvements. Even having this discussion is a good thing. So even though it gets touchy and people get fired up about it, I think people just need to realize that sometimes when they don't know that they're being sexist, because they just don't realize it because of, like you said, like maybe you just weren't raised that way, so you don't notice that some of this stuff is actually, bothersome.
I think that's some of it. And honestly, I think there are just some people who are probably truly at their core are sexist. Like, really, they are the definition of that word, and we have to drag some of those people into the modern age.
Yeah.
And we're just going to have to do it. And I hope that when people do decide to speak up, if they see it happen, and I've actually spoken up in tournaments about conduct, where I thought somebody was being rude. And I said to a guy, I said, hey, man, I know you're fired up. I don't think there's any reason to say that to him. Because he was kind of like picking on someone who he thought was winning by luck. And he kind of said it out loud. I said, hey, man, I get it. You're fired up. I don't think you need to, like, go at him about that. I think you just need to play better, right? And kind of gave him the winky smile. And he goes, yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. And
yeah.
I hope people can kind of do it like that, to just maybe have some self-reflection.
Yep, and that's, I think, the hard part, because I know I'm trying to commit to being like calling stuff out when I see it as well, because I'm not, I haven't really done that so much, because it's a touchy thing, you don't want to get into like something to blow up all crazy, and
No.
It's like a little bit confrontational too, because you don't want to make it confrontational, but by default it is if you're calling someone out on something. So I've been kind of like running it through my head of like, how am I going to do this when it comes up for real and I see it? Like, how am I going to like go up to the guy and be like, hey, because like personally, I'd rather kind of like take him slightly aside and do it quietly, and definitely not cause a scene, because I think that just can't be a good way to handle it.
I always picture like 80s like teen movies where there's like the good guy and the bad guy. There's like the hero, the Kevin Arnold from the Wonder Years, and there's like the bad guy, the like Johnny from the Karate Kid. I always just try and err on the side of Kevin Arnold. Like, what would Kevin Arnold do?
Yeah, that should be the both that and what would Bowen be asked this or whatever I forget what the acronym for that is, but I think it's a good thing that it's being talked about. So hopefully this will make people more aware of everything, and hopefully listen to when anytime a woman says anything that it's true if she says it, because obviously a woman can lie, but that's not really, they're not going to lie about this kind of thing. They're going to just be like, if this makes them uncomfortable, then that is what it is. So
and maybe even more relevant to this particular podcast on this particular evening, what are your thoughts on the distinct like lack of Asian Americans from Alabama or Atlanta or Georgia.
Well, when people were complaining about women-only tournaments or whatever, I was like, oh, they should do like the Asian American division, because I'm like, I got a better chance in that one.
You'd do well in that.
I could, especially if there was by state, because I don't even know how many Asian Americans from Alabama are in IFPA. But yeah, like it's kind of funny because that's another whole thing, right? Like it's very white pinball.
It's really white. It's really, really white.
And, that's like a thing that I noticed, but it's not really like, I don't know how to, like there's so many issues, and it's like pinball's just fun. Like, I just want to get people involved of all types, maybe it's like now we have to like try to see how we can appeal to everybody, to just get more diversity. I would like to see more diversity, because it's definitely like, it was very noticeable, and especially at the tournaments. I always wonder, like we were friends with a lot of people that are not white in pinball, and I sometimes wonder, like I saw an Asian woman at Pinburg, and I almost wanted to say something to her, but then I was like, I don't want to say it because I don't want to make it sound like I'm like, yeah, Asians, it's like, hey, another Asian here, because I'm not really that way, but it was kind of cool. I was like, hey, it's good. I'm like, there's a few of us Asians, it's like, but not a whole lot. So,
and that's a pretty deep conversation about how it got here. Is this, is this male dominated, white dominated hobby? And, I agree. I would love to see a more diverse, landscape for pinball. I don't know exactly how you do that. I don't know if it should be on the shoulders of the manufacturers who are building games and themes, but are also running businesses. And it's like, is their job to drive diversity, projects, or is their job to, make money for their company? So you get into these weird conversations about that. Is it just where we're promoting pinball? I think Greg Dunlap was posting today on the internet, about like maybe there's an opportunity to start putting route games into non-white neighborhoods in some of these cities, non-traditional, like not the hipster barcade, not the the bowling alley type place where it's traditionally more of a skewed white crowd. Maybe that's part of the answer. Maybe it should be on, and maybe there's a gold mine. Maybe there's a ton of money to be made if somebody could tap into minority pinball players that nobody's thinking about. Opportunity, I don't know. Gene, I really appreciate you coming on. We should really do this more often. You're one of my favorite people in pinball. I love hanging out at shows and playing with you. I love chatting pinball with you. Love your angle and your take on things. I love your photographs, and I love your cool shoes.
Oh, okay. No, I've been. I actually found a new pair of super awesome pinball shoes, but I didn't want to bring them to Pinburg because I didn't want to break in new shoes. Because as any Pinburg veteran knows, it's all about proper footwear, man. You got to have some comfy shoes, and you don't want to be breaking them in at Pinburg.
Well, I'm glad we got to share a steak sandwich from the super secret, not so secret steak sandwich shop in Pittsburgh.
That place was packed with Pinburg people.
That place owes me, is all I'm going to say about this. I walked in one day and like 4 people turned around and go, "Oh, dude, we found it because of your show." And I wanted to go to the manager, like, see, this guy did that.
Don't I get at least one free sandwich since I'm going to come to 3 times?
No, I will gladly pay for a sandwich there.
Yeah, that place is amazing.
It's really good. All right, Gene, thanks so much for coming on, man. We're going to wrap this up. That's episode 228 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Until next time, be nice to me, Gene. Take care of yourself, Gene. And I don't think I have to tell you, but play more pinball.
I will. You too.